Hello friends, Christel Joy Johnson here at your service. Some of you friends know me from when I was teaching yoga and yoga Pilates called YoPi at the YMCA. I was at the YMCA for a couple of years and now I still sub and I come in and I help out with some of their classes, but I'm just not around on a regular basis. I am a Yoga Alliance 500 ERYT, which just basically means I'm a registered yoga teacher, and I'm also a teacher trainer through the certification of Yoga Alliance. So we're going to do a breathing exercise today to try to help our parasympathetic system, aka our rest and digest system, settle down and just find a little bit of calm inside our little bodies and minds, right? So if you can lay down, I'm going to have you lay down. It does not have to be on the earth. If you're unable to or just don't want to go down on the earth, you could do this lying down on a couch. You could do this lying down on your bed, on a coffee table, maybe the kitchen table. It's that time of the pandemic. We're like, I don't even care anymore. And it might be that that is not comfortable at all for you, in which case I would invite you to sit, whether that's sitting cross-legged. I usually don't sit down on the ground. This is too hard on my pelvis and my low back. But I might pull in a chair and sit on a chair, on the couch, whatever you need to do, right? We're going to do a breathing exercise, and I'd love you to be comfortable. The reason I'm asking about the possibility of lying down is because then you can really release every single muscle, but you still have the long spine because you have the support of the earth underneath you. So that's kind of where I'm going with it, if that helps you. You do not need props, but if when I talk about these props, they sound interesting to you, you probably have blankets and pillows and couch pillows and different things at home you could use and substitute for what I'm about to say. You might have one that goes under your head just so that your head is not all the way down, especially if you have a tight upper back, and I'll talk more about that one in a moment, but just have it where your head would go. You might have one that's rolled up and goes underneath your knees, right? So you're going to go ahead and you're going to come onto your back. I'm assuming most all y'all are going to come lying down with me, but if not, get settled into your chair. Now you're going to take that blanket, if you have it, or even the edge of a pillow. Don't get too much pillow. You don't want your head to be shoved up. We're starting to block our passages and goof around with our neck, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to roll that up just a little bit. Some of us might want a little less or a little more, right? So I have just a little support underneath my head. If I need more, I can always fold that other piece over. But I'm going to get a little more underneath my neck than I am the back of my head so that I have a nice support system for my cervical curve, my neck curve. Now I've got one that's underneath my my legs, yeah, or it's by my thighs, I guess I'll say, and it's rolled up. This one could definitely be bigger, and I might release my legs over this. This usually gives most of us a little bit of softness in our low back, our hips, and the backs of our legs without it feeling too straining to have the legs all the way out. But if you need more support, you can put more under there, or just have your feet on the ground, a little wider than the hips, and soften, yeah? I'm going to take my little ponytail out. If you have a ponytail holder, you might take it out as well so you're not being moved around by that. We're going to put one hand on our belly and one hand on our heart. And although I say on the belly and the heart, mine are off to the side because I want my elbows to be down so my elbows can be nice and soft. And then close the eyes once you get situated. You don't need to see anything. My voice will be there to help guide you. So we're going to do what's called the 3-part breath. And before we begin that, I just want you to notice what your breath is at the very beginning of this class, yeah? So you're just going to check in, and I'd love you to notice whether or not your inhales feel longer than your exhales or vice versa. And then check in and you have a hand on your belly. Is that hand on the belly lifting with the inhales and falling on the exhales? Don't try to make that happen. You're just observing right now. But is your belly so soft that when you inhale, the belly will float up away from the spine? And when you exhale, that belly floats back down towards the spine. This is what's called diaphragmatic breathing, or what I like to call the soft belly breath. And then how about that hand on the chest? Is that hand moving at all, or does the chest expand, or does the chest stay still? And again, without efforting, maybe we're so soft that we notice the hand on the belly rises first and then the hand on the chest. And then that reverses when you exhale. The hand on the belly starts to come, chest starts to come down, and the hand on the belly starts to come down. So you're going to keep breathing just like that. And I'm going to explain the 3-part breath. So it's a visualization as well as breathing, right? We do not have lungs down in our belly or by our pubic bone. I'm very aware of that. You are probably very aware of that. So know that what I'm saying is just a visualization to help us expand our breath. But we're going to imagine that breath coming in 3 different parts, right? So we'll take a sip, we'll take a pause, we'll take a sip, we'll take a pause, we'll take a sip, and we'll pause. So we've got one inhale coming in 3 parts. I'll talk about the first part coming down into your belly, and then we'll pause, and the second part's going to come into your low ribs, kind of around the diaphragm, and we'll pause, and the third part will come up into your chest, up to the collarbone. We'll pause, and then that exhale is going to be one slow, steady exhale all the way out. No pauses in the exhale. Okay, so let's exhale so we're in the same place. And inhale, sip a little bit into your belly. Pause. Now sip the next little bit into your low floating ribs. Pause. And then sip the last bit of that inhale into your chest. Pause. And exhale. Let that exhale go from the chest to the ribs, to the belly, and all the way out the pubic bone if you want to add the visualization of a wave, right? And then when we inhale, that wave's coming in, and first we could take a little sip into our belly. Pause. Take a little sip into our ribs. Pause. Take a little sip all the way up into the chest, right up to under the collarbones. Pause. And exhaling the chest to the ribs, to the belly, to the pubic bone. We'll do 2 more like this, and then we'll seam everything up. Inhale, sip into your belly. Pause. Sip into your low ribs. Pause. Sip into your chest. Pause. And exhale, chest to the ribs, to the belly. So I'm going to call it out another time, but this time we're going to try and slow it down a little bit, right? Without efforting. Inhale, sip into the belly. Pause. Sip into the low ribs. Pause. Sip into the chest. Pause. And exhale, nice, slow and steady. Try to let that be an elongated, right, or a longer than usual exhale. And we're going to do that one more time, actually. That slower version. Inhale into the belly. Pause. Inhale into the low ribs. Pause. Inhale up into the chest. Pause. And exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Now this time, bring it all in one breath without the pauses, but the same pattern. So inhale into the belly, and then the low floating ribs, all the way up to the chest. That's one inhale now. And with your exhale, exhale from the chest, past the low floating ribs, to the low belly, to the pubic bone. Pause. And again, you're going to inhale, filling up the belly, and then the low floating ribs, all the way up to the collarbone. Pause. And exhale, collarbone, chest, low floating ribs, low belly, pubic bone. Inhale. Let's try and slow it down. low belly, ribs, chest, collarbone. Pause. If you need to go faster, go faster. Exhale, chest. It shouldn't feel stressful. Ribs, belly, pubic bone. So let's take about 2 or 3 more of those. I'm not going to call them out, but you're taking the same pattern. Explore your breath. Keep that jaw soft, that tongue soft. And then just find the rhythm that feels natural to you. If it's faster or slower than what I was just teaching, that is okay. You want to find a place where with ease you can breathe a little deeper. Maybe that exhale lasts a little longer with your awareness on it, but you're not efforting or stressing the body out. Check in your shoulders. Make sure your shoulders are soft. And I just want you, before we come out of this breath work, I just would love for you to take a moment and notice a couple of things. One, does the physical body feel softer than when you arrived here? And it can be yes or no, they're both valid. 2, does the breath feel slower or calmer than when you first started? 3, especially since I was coaching us through a lot of it, was your mind going off to other things as much, or was it staying pretty present with your breath? So the breath and the mind are very, very intimately related. If my breath is fast, so is my mind. And that's vice versa, by the way. They both can affect each other. And if I slow my breath down, do I maybe slow my mind down? And that doesn't mean suddenly you clear your mind of thoughts. That was not my question. But is it maybe staying a little more present, or if it does go to a fear, an anxiety, a worry, a to-do list, does it go there with a little more calm than before you started the breath work? And again, you might say, no way, it does not, and that is still valid. But if it was seeming to help you slow down and keep your mind a little more focused on the present, you might come back to this video every day. It's not very long, and you can probably find the time right now to fit it in your day. Let's go ahead and just wiggle our fingers and our toes. If you are lying down, you'll bend your knees and put the feet on the ground. Be gentle, and if you're on a couch or something, be aware of your edges, right? You're going to roll over to the right or the left, whichever is best in your body. And when you do push up, I'm going to ask you to imagine that your head is a 13-pound bowling ball, right? So that when you push into that arm, the head and the neck stay really soft, and they're not trying to lift the whole body up until you get all the way up to your seated position. If you were seated, we'll meet you right there. And then just close the eyes for just a few more moments. We won't be here long. But again, just tuning in one more time and just seeing, what this practice, what the effect of it is on you. And I try to stay away from judgment. This is good, this is bad. And I try to rather just observe. My breath is calmer, my mind is more present. I don't have words for it, but I generally feel this, right? Maybe you feel heavy, or you feel lighter, you feel sadder, you feel depressed, you feel there's all kinds of places we can go emotionally, physically, mentally. But just tuning in. And they're all beautiful. It's exactly where you are, and that's exactly where you are supposed to be right now. Let's bring our hands together up at our chest. Take a big old inhale. And with the exhale, let's bow our head in towards our hands and just take a moment of gratitude that we have this beautiful breath. Okay. Without it, we sure couldn't live, that's for certain. But also hopefully starting to learn how much this breath can have an effect on our lives, on our mental scape, we'll call it, right? On our inner landscape, I'll call it. Thank you, breath. Namaste, friends. May you feel peace, and may all beings everywhere be well. Namaste.